Hello and welcome to another episode of Confidence Culture Conversations. We are back and we are live. Let me bring my co-host on here. Hello, Kirubai. How are you?
I am well, Elizabeth. Lovely to be on the live show today after a month of having a long break.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure you have so much to tell us about your break because you've been traveling the world.
Not really. I've gone back home, and I'm still struggling with jet lag. So
Oh,
I'm like,
wow.
this time is crucial. I mean, 7 o'clock is crucial, but you know what? I'm excited to be on the show with you, Elizabeth. I missed you for the last 1 month,
Missed you too. Missed you too.
so it's great to be on the show.
Absolutely. And we have Tunji in the comments.
Hello, Tunji. It's good to see you once again.
Thank you so much, Tunji, for being one of our super fans. So today we're going to be talking about anxiety. Now, if you have joined us, please, please, please share the link, invite someone to be part of the conversation. This is Mental Health Awareness Month. And in fact, last week, the
Mhm.
focus was really Mental Health Awareness Week. And the theme was anxiety. So we're going to go into that. But before we do, obviously, we haven't been around for a month. And I'm sure you've missed us because we missed you. So, Kirubai, what have you been up to over the past couple of weeks?
Well, before we go into my travel
Experience?
traveling and my travel holidays, since we're talking about mental health awareness, Elizabeth, I want to congratulate you on that platform you spoke. And, it's also to congratulate you on the award you won. We have to celebrate you, Elizabeth. Sorry, I wasn't here together to celebrate with you, but you know what? I would like to make mention that well deserved, and thank God for this opportunity that He has given you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you know, the interesting thing was that award was actually won last year, but I
Oh,
didn't get the plaque.
all
Um,
right.
so, so this, in fact, when I look back now, it's good I didn't get the plaque because I got to spend a morning with Lady Anita herself and have a cup of tea and have a conversation one on one, which was nice because if I got the plaque then, yes, I would have got it then, but I wouldn't have had the pleasure of having coffee with her. So
Mhm.
at least we had that opportunity to interact and just talk. And oh my days, if you don't know Lady Anita, please connect with her. She has another amazing event coming up in October. And actually, if you know an amazing woman you'd like to nominate as a powerhouse woman, let me know. I'll send you the link. I will send you the link. Hi, Adeline. Thanks for joining us all the way from Malaysia. Wait, you should be in bed, Adeline. But thank you for joining us.
Adeline is a night owl.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you so much, Kirubai, for taking me back there and congratulating me on all these things I've been doing. So that's enough about me. But you've been doing some amazing self care in Malaysia, posting all these amazing pictures, by the seaside. Doing. I was like, why? What are you trying to do to us? Make us jealous?
I'm provoking you to jealousy. Not really, Elizabeth. This is the forerun of scenes that you have to see before you come to Malaysia.
Ooh, yes, we're coming to Malaysia at some point. We're coming.
Well, it was a great holiday, connecting with family and friends. Time to just let loose and relax. But unfortunately, the weather was not so becoming.
Oh
It
wow.
wasn't, yeah, it was too hot after from, winter going back there, and it was extremely hot. So myself, I really struggled with the weather, and at one point, Robert even fainted.
Oh no.
Yes. for those who do not know who Robert is my husband, and he had a heat stroke.
Oh gosh.
So the heat was quite unbearable.
See, I would have said, give me some sunshine any day.
Yeah,
Wow.
but it kind of takes a toll on you because of
Understandably.
the change in weather, and I was profusely perspiring. But
Wow.
with with all that happening in the background, I'm very grateful that I went back to visit my mom. My
And you celebrated her birthday. Oh
Yes, the
wow.
83rd birthday, and it was lovely. Family and extended family, friends and extended friends, and it was nice time to connect. This time around, I made a lot of effort to connect with
It
pe-
looked like.
people who I've not met for the last 30 years.
And wait, you got to have the fruit. What's that fruit called?
Durians.
Durian. That's it. That's it. How was it? How was it?
Well, the fruit in itself, I only had it twice because it's kind of it's just entering into season, but I had lots of durian ice cream
Okay.
and another dessert called durian chindol. It's with a lot of shaved ice and the fruit and a few other things that they add on with brown syrup. It was lovely with the weather out there being hot, and you have something like that. It's very refreshing, but of course, it's not very good for your waist. It's high in calories.
Well, once in a while,
Yeah.
enjoy a little.
So I just indulged in all those things that I really wanted to have.
That's good. That's good. But I'm glad you got to do those things, because actually talking about mental health, there's so many things we can do to look after our mental health. And part of that is just self-care, is looking
Mhm,
after yourself, is
mhm.
spending time with people that matter to you, doing things that you love to do, things that you enjoy to do, connecting with people or things outside of your normal, and that's really good. So I'm glad that you are practicing all this stuff. So you can kick off today's conversation.
you know, self care. Part of being. Um, I just this is script. This scripture keeps coming to my memory is, do not be anxious for anything. But in everything give thanks. So I am giving thanks today because I had the opportunity to go back and connect. So anxiety and gratitude, there is a correlation.
Mm,
And the little things that we forget to give thanks is the things that make life worth living.
mm.
Even though the sun was
Hot.
horrendous, but I give thanks for the sun that
Mm.
was shining so bright, because before I left, I was aching all over. I was wondering what's happening. And then I went there, and the second week I was all okay. And then I found out my vitamin D was zilch.
Wow.
But the sun helps you to get some vitamin
So you
D.
got an overdose of vitamin D.
No, I'm sorry to say I have to take vitamin D supplement for the rest of my life. But you know what? It's one of those things. But
Mm.
the sun, it can be disastrous or it can be a blessing. So I give
Absolutely.
thanks for the sun.
Absolutely. And I guess, like Adeline's on here and she has to deal with that every day. So it's an interesting one when it comes to like weather, because yes, our bodies can sort of adapt to the weather, but sometimes it gets a bit too much and you kind of want to say, God, just bring some rain, cool it down a bit. So, but no, thank you for starting us off, because you mentioned about gratitude, how gratitude can help to relieve anxiety.
Mhm.
Now, for me, one of the things that I tend to say with anxiety, anxiety focuses so much on what is going on in your mind. And they say that our lives move in the direction of our strongest thoughts. Or,
Mhm.
if you're a person of faith watching this, the Bible says that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So, what are we choosing to focus on? I know that yes, life happens, and because life happens, our focus can drift, our thoughts can shift to the things that are working, the things that are not working, and so we can focus so much on that. But if we are going to deal with anxiety, we need to be intentional with what is going on in here. We need to be intentional with our thinking. And Kiruba, I like the scripture that you used. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, make your requests known to God. And for me, that scripture is really telling me to take the focus off yourself, take the focus off the things, and just fix it on God. Fix it on God. Let God deal with it. Let God handle it. Because you can do so much, but not everything is in your control. There's only so much that you can do. And sometimes you just have to actually literally surrender and say, God, I just hand this one over to you, because there's only so much I can do. And prayer is an avenue for us to just hand it over, just surrender it.
Yes. Communicating your feelings, your negative feelings that attack you. So it was one of those things that anxiety. We all of us go through it. Okay, just a little testimony. I was anxious to go back because, firstly, of all these aches and pains that I was going through, and that's because I had three falls in the UK. I mean, I had three very, very hard falls on my back. So I
Mm.
was thinking whether it was something that was contributing towards it. So lo and behold, I did do it. I did an X-ray there, and then I realized when the X-ray was shown to the doctor, he said no bones were broken.
Thank God for that.
Thank God for that. So my anxiousness was for nothing. You know,
There you go. There you go.
yeah, you were just, hey, what's happening, so lots of our anxiousness is for nothing. Before
Mm.
it happens, we are already worrying, and that's not good. Let's be real and face the issue when it cross the bridge, when you come to it.
That's it. That's it. And I think just to I guess going on that a little, what you're really referring to then becomes worry and fear, isn't it?
Mhm,
Because that's what anxiety can do.
mhm,
Anxiety can bring us to that place of worry. It brings us to that place of fear. And and with fear, it's an anticipation, it's a negative anticipation.
that's right.
It's a fear that this might go wrong, this might happen. And it's funny because as human beings, we have this tendency to take one situation
blow
as
it
it
out
is,
blow it
and
out of
then we magnify it,
yeah
we
blow it out of
multiply it so
proportion.
many times, and we end up with a worst case scenario. And we start getting fear and getting worried because we are looking at the worst case scenario. But actually, the worst case scenario has not occurred.
Hmm.
So anxiety is a real it's a real issue out there, and like you said, we all go through it. So I guess if I was to ask yourself and those who are watching, Annette, thank you for joining us. Ethel, thank you for joining us. Adeline, Tunji, thank you for being here. How do you deal with anxiety? So let me ask two questions. What are some of the triggers for anxiety? And the other question is, how do you deal with anxiety? And let's have some practical examples, not just the superficial answers, but some really practical examples. Because if you follow me on social media, I over the course of last week, I shared a couple of things and tried to throw some videos in there to, spice up the conversation. So let me know what some of your thoughts are. And Kiruba, let's start with you.
What triggers me? There are a lot of things can trigger me.
Mm.
It's basically talking about the unknown. Now I shared my my example about my aching body, and it was unnecessary because I just imagined my bones were broken, but there was nothing broken. So from the time I got my results to, from the time I felt it until I got my results, this thing about, oh, I need a hip replacement.
Oh, wow. Wow. It went that far.
I went that far because I got an active imagination. So, but you know what? I didn't even have to do anything. The doctor said, you just carry on with your exercises. There's nothing wrong with you. Just take your vitamin D and you will be fine. Simple
Mm.
solution to a problem that I magnified in my mind. So that's a good example. It just happened.
So for you, it's kind of the fear of the unknown
Yes, that's right.
is that trigger.
Mhm.
Okay, let me give another one, which I think can be very relevant. I don't know if it's relevant outside of the UK, but here in the UK, there's some color envelopes that you receive and you don't want to open.
Oh,
There's some envelopes that comes through the letterbox and you think, ooh, I think this is from this company. I think that's from that company, and you don't want to open it, or you're too anxious to open it. And so you kind of just put it to one side. So little things like that can trigger, or even just um, I think something that can be a very real trigger is when you receive a medical report from a doctor.
mhm.
That can be a very real trigger. And, depending on the sort of person you are and the support system you have around you, that can sort of exaggerate in your mind to the point that you don't know how to live day to day because of that diagnosis.
I think even like food, smell, places, if let's say, for example, if you've gone through a breakup, sometimes a certain whiff of perfume of the person that you were with together can trigger that fear and anxiety in you. Or is the
Mm,
person around me? Or food and places. So these are things that if you have a issue or a problem like this, that means you have not overcome that relationship,
mm.
that breakup, or the separation. These are triggers that you got to be mindful about. I went through it, so I speak with a lot of experience. I had to deal with it. And once you deal with it, once you talk about it, I think part of anxiousness is not bottling it up, being able to talk to someone about it. And talking helps mental well-being.
Mm.
Talking talking can be even rambling. That's why a lot of people go and look for psychiatrists and psychologists, because they just ramble away and they don't tell you anything, but you know what, it's just getting it out of your chest.
Do you know what? You're absolutely right, because sometimes we I want to say we undervalue talking. We don't realize how it can help us. We don't realize how it can be good for us. But when you bottle things inside, when you keep things to yourself, it kind of like you're becoming toxic inside.
Hmm.
But when you're able to talk and to open up and to share, obviously finding trusted people that you can share with, when you're able to talk and to share, it helps you to kind of just get it out, just unbox the thoughts that are in your mind. And it helps you to even to even just be more rational with your thinking. Because when it's all in your mind, anything and everything goes. But when you start to realize, oh, why did I even think that way? Why was I imagining that this was going to happen?
I think when you talk, you come up with your own solutions, actually.
I find that happens a lot in coaching sessions, actually.
Yes, actually. That's part of coaching, you see. You
Yeah.
you speak the problem, and then you come up with the solution. So talking is very, very vital for mental well-being.
Mm.
Sharing your thoughts, talking to someone. And one of the things, as I was digging into how to overcome anxiety, is actually socializing.
That's a good one, yeah.
So go out, meet people, meet new people, make friends, chit chat. And there is a place in Kuala Lumpur now, which is very, very interesting, because a lot of young people, they work from home, and it's just them, the computer, and they have places now where it's not it's like coffee houses, cafes, where you go and sit in shared tables, and chat with someone you don't know.
That's nice.
I thought that was very cool. I got to know this place actually last year, and it was one of my friends who's a coach. He took me there, and it was quite interesting. People not knowing each other, chatting away about common things. And as Malaysians, we love to talk about food, so I could hear conversations going, in circles about things. And you know what? Sometimes people make better friends. They even meet their life partners there. So why not?
Wow.
Well,
If people are meeting over the internet,
yes, why not?
I'm sure it can happen face to face. So hey, I absolutely love that, and I think one of the ways to defeat anxiety is by staying connected. So
Hmm.
being connected to the right people, and particularly people that help you to take your mind off the things that are not going well in your life. So people who make you smile, people who you can be around, and they carry a different aura
Hmm.
about them. So you don't need people who will always be complaining, "Bah, bah, 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 this is not working, this is not going well. Oh, did you hear this? Did you hear that?" No. You just need people that will help you to find that place of calmness, to find that place of peace, that place of joy. That's what you need. So if you're in that place where you're feeling anxious, there might be some people that will trigger you to go deeper into that anxiety. So find the right people that you can, well, whether it's meet up for a coffee or go for a walk, just do that. One of the other things that I shared, I think earlier on in the week, is being able to find time by yourself to journal.
Mm.
Whether it's journaling, or you can even just literally write a letter, and it can be a letter to yourself, your future self, your past self, whatever it is that's worrying you. Just sit down and write a letter. Jot down your thoughts. It's kind of like talking, but you're writing it down instead. And if you want to, if for example it's a letter, you can even burn it afterwards. There's some joy in that. There's some little excitement in that. So being able to just unpack what is in here, it's so, so, so important. So whether it's through journaling, it's through having conversations with people. I mean, we saw this during the pandemic.
Mm.
People who were living on their own. It was so important and necessary for them to be connected with, whether it's go out for a walk or just go and meet friends at a distance, or phone calls. People were on the phone a lot. In fact, if you want to look at how to deal with anxiety, look back to how you dealt with the pandemic, how you dealt with this whole being in isolation, or just yeah, being closed in. How did you deal with that? Because how we dealt with the pandemic was evidence of how resilient we are.
Hmm.
And resilience is another thing that can help you to deal
Bounce
with
back.
anxiety.
Mm.
It's that power, that ability, that capability to be able to bounce back from situations that are happening around you, because life is not always going to go the way you want it. That's the reality. Life will not always go how you want it. It won't always go as you planned it. So you have to position yourself mentally to deal with things. And we're not saying that don't accept that this is the way things are. Like, accept it, but don't remain in that place. Don't remain in that place where your thoughts become so negative that there's like a cloud of heaviness, a cloud of negative toxicity just sitting over you. It's not a good place to be. It's not a good place to be.
Another thing is, I think people get anxious when it comes to a working scenario. In an office space where there might be humongous tasks that is laid before you, and you will naturally be anxious or worried to sort those things out. But breaking it to bite sizes, that means working little by little like an ant, working on it and then completing your task. Don't see the big humongous workload, but working towards little by little, you can always achieve, because I believe, if your superior knows your capacity and he gives you or she gives you this task to do, you have the capacity to do it. So do not worry about it. Do not be anxious. But if you have a bully as your boss, then I can't do anything. Then you got to stand up to your boss.
But I like that, being able to break things down. And another thing that can also help us to deal with anxiety, is finding things that take your mind off whatever it is that you're anxious about. So, one of the things is try something new, something that you have never done before, or something that you enjoyed doing in the past.
Mhm.
It will help you to take your mind off whatever the situation is that's consuming you. One of the things I like to do is cook, is baking sometimes. Sometimes I'll just be there and I'm just like, I feel like baking. And it just helps me to take my mind off
Mhm.
whatever might not be working, especially like on days where you're trying to do some work. For those that are entrepreneurs, you know how it is. You're trying to do something, but it's not shifting. It's not shifting, and you just want a break from it. And I had one of those days yesterday, and I just went to the kitchen. I'm like, you know what? I'm making chapati. Let's go. Let's do it. And so I made some
Chapati.
chapati. Yeah,
Interesting.
made some chapati, and then I was back to my work. But it's one of those things, just finding space away from the thing that's causing the worry and the anxiety. The reality is, like we have said, is that things will always happen. There's always something to be worried about. There always is. And for those of us that are people of faith that are watching this and listening to this, you know um we can't solve all our problems. We have to rely on God. We have to depend on God. We have to trust in God. Our confidence has to be in God, because there are things that will happen that are outside of your control. There are things that will happen that you can't do anything about. And you just have to be able to surrender them. I remember one time, I think it was Joyce Meyer talking about, when people are worried, it's like you're sitting on a rocking chair and you're going nowhere very fast, basically. So the rocking chair doesn't necessarily, move from A to B, but you're just rocking. You're just rocking. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing. So the worry and the anxiety is not going to help unless you are doing it in a reflective, unless you are, I don't want to say anxious in a reflective way, but unless you are thinking in a reflective manner, where you're thinking, what can I do? How can I resolve this situation? As opposed to, oh no, this has happened. It can never be better. No.
Elizabeth, hold that thought. Anxiety and your financial needs. With the credit crunch and inflation on the rise, utilities are all going very, high. Food is expensive, and some of us have financial issues, and that makes
Cost
us,
of living crisis.
yes, and that makes us anxiety, having being anxious. And if you have a family, a single mom, um, a single dad, and you have a family of four or three or four to feed, and everything is on the rise. So definitely there is cause for anxiety. So what is the way out? I mean, for people of faith, we believe that God is in that scenario. We pray and we believe. But for those who do not have faith to hold on to, it's something very serious.
Mm. I would say for me one of the key things there is to take it one day at a time. Is literally to take it, because you can sit here worrying about tomorrow, but what are you doing about today? Because today is here. So deal with today first before you can address tomorrow. Because a lot of times that's where we are thinking. And I want to I guess some of the things that we've already talked about, like staying connected, having the right people around you, things like that will really help you. Also, you know trying to deal with the negativity that you might have. So if you're someone who can be very negative minded, it's time to address that, because that can increase levels of anxiety if you're always looking at the worst case scenario. Because life will not always be worst case scenario, and you have to believe that. There has to be an element of you that is holding on to some hope, holding on to something, like things can get better. I'm reminded of this lady in the Bible, the widow, whom,
Who might
she said literally, like, this is all I have left.
hold the
I'm going
oil?
to feed my son and myself, and we're done. We're done. But God made a way. And through her obedience, she basically had a life-changing breakthrough, a life-changing miracle. And so sometimes, like, we can be anxious because we see no way out. But do you know what anxiety will do? Anxiety will cloud your judgment.
Mm,
Anxiety will make you to make the wrong decisions.
so true.
You won't be thinking straight. When we hear of people committing suicide, there's a lot of anxiety, especially those who have mental health related issues. There's
Mm,
a lot of anxiety going on in their mind, and that anxiety gets the better of them, and they act on the negative thoughts that they are thinking.
mm.
So we need to guard what is going on in our minds, and we need to be intentional about it, because don't just let any thought build
Pollute.
a mansion in your house, in
Mm,
your brain.
yeah.
No, be in control of what is taking root in your mind. Be in control. They might say that you don't have control of what's going on in your mind, but you do. You have control of your thoughts, and you have to choose which thoughts you're going to give power to. And when we are being anxious, the reality is that yes, things might not be working, and that's why we are anxious. But sit down, get help if you need to get help.
Mm,
If you need to get counseling, get counseling. If you need to get coaching, get coaching. But being able to just sit down and break things down, especially like when it comes to, for example, financial worries, sitting down and breaking things down and seeing, okay, so how can we do this better? How can we go about this? If it's a health related matter and you've received a negative report from the doctor, Sit down and think, what can I do about it? How can I change this situation? Can I change my diet? Can I change my lifestyle to make things better, to make things different? Look and speak to, get help from the people around you.
Mm.
Surround yourself with people that can help. Find people in your circle whom you know you can reach out to and they can offer you some help. Don't keep everything to yourself. Don't suffer in silence. That will increase the anxiety. That will increase the anxiety.
Yeah. And suicide is really on the high with with young people, with people who have financial difficulties, young people, especially students who are in varsity, in university, the pressure of performance. You see, they they're so anxious to perform. There's an expectation, and some of them might not even want to do that course that they are forced to do by parents. So all this builds up the pressure in them, and then they take their lives. Young people, 20, 21, 22. It's sad.
It really is. Adeline, our condolences. Sorry to hear about your friend who unfortunately hanged himself. And do you know what? I think when we hear a lot about suicide and we get to the root of like the issue, if there's ever the opportunity to do so, you normally find that there's some anxious thoughts that have consumed this person.
Mhm.
I know of someone who committed suicide a few years ago, and there were financial worries that were on his mind, and that's why he did it. He thought, his family would be better off without him. So it's very important that we guard our thoughts. It's very important that we are custodians of what's going in our minds, what's going on in our minds. Don't live it to the media
Mhm.
to plant seeds that will create anxiety in your mind. Don't do that. Because that happens as well. Because sometimes we switch on the TV and it's always bad news after bad news after bad news after bad news. And when that consumes you, you start to worry. Like, especially like when you hear about different things going on, or for example, if you're in London and you hear about this person being stabbed, or this person doing that person doing that, it's easy for you to get into a place where you then start to worry and start to be anxious. But life cannot stop. Life has to go on. And so if life has to go on, how do we go on with life is the question you need to ask yourself. How do I keep going? And you take each day as it comes. Take each day at a time. What can I control? Okay, let me deal with that. What can't I control? Okay, hand it over to God. And just keep going. Just keep going. Because you don't know what can happen or what might happen. I remember when I'm sure my sister doesn't mind me saying this, but when my nephew was born premature, and he was in hospital for a good couple of months. So he was born end of June, and he didn't come out of hospital till end of October because he was so premature. And going into hospital every day, you didn't know if you would find him alive.
Mhm.
He was literally this tiny. He weighed 500 grams, a bag of sugar.
Wow.
That's how tiny he was. He was only
Shasha now is so tall and healthy and running around.
absolutely he was only just over 23 weeks.
Okay.
And those couple of months were a very anxious couple of months.
Mhm.
More so for my sister, but like I felt it too, because I was there, but it was worse for her. And sometimes she'll say, during the night she didn't know if the hospital would be calling her to
Mm.
say he's gone. But now, next month is going to celebrate 6 years. Well, imagine if the anxiety had like overwhelmed, and we gave up on believing that he could make it. And yet he's here today. He's so happy. He's so playful. So, and negative things will happen around us, but we have to manage how we deal with those
How
things.
do we respond? Yes.
Exactly. We have to manage how we respond.
Do not
How we
react.
respond with our thinking, with
Yes.
our emotions.
Because and I was just came across this scripture in Proverbs 4:23. It says, more than anything, you guard, protect your mind, for life flows from it.
Hmm,
Life flows from it. So
that's it.
it's either you respond or you react. If you react negatively, then there's consequences to that negative reaction. But when you respond positively, the way opens in front of you for a solution to be
Hmm,
birthed.
hmm. And the things that we go through, yes, they're unique to us, but there might be someone around you who's going through something similar. There might be someone around you that can share some wisdom or share some coping mechanisms of how they dealt with it. So when we suffer in silence, a lot of times it's hard for us to get that wisdom
Mm.
because we don't know these things. So there might be a support group that you can be part of. You don't know until you sort of open up yourself to see what avenues of support or of help are out there. We're all going through one issue or the other.
Mm.
We don't always come and talk about it, but we're I'm sure if you knocked on everyone's door, every family has something they're dealing with. I know that sometimes when I go into when I go to do some of the workshops that I do, particularly when I'm talking about like the financial well-being, I ask people like, what are your thoughts towards people who have money? Because sometimes people think because someone has money they have no problems or they have no anxiety, but they do. They do. So it's about dealing with you, because you can have all the money in the world, because you even hear people who are wealthy committing suicide. So anxiety is not about, yes, we are anxious about different things, but anxiety knows no gender, knows no race, knows no, it's anxiety's anxiety.
It
Everyone
doesn't choose its friends.
everyone goes through it.
Yeah.
But you have to find a way personally of dealing with it and find what works for you, because like journaling might work for me. Maybe for you it doesn't work. So find what works for you. One of the things I shared in one of the videos last week is just playing some music and just dancing, playing a happy song. Like just find a song that takes you to a place. There's some songs that you play and automatically in your mind you're either by the beach or you're in church, whatever it is. There's songs that will take you somewhere. So find the song that works for you, the song that takes you to your happy place. Play it every morning. Do you know that's good for you? It's good for your well-being. It starts off your day on a happy note. Honestly, it really does. It sounds so simple, and yet it can be so powerful. And one of the things that we do with my 4-year-old, with Janaya, is there's some songs she loves listening to, and it's Christian kind of Bible songs for kids, and she loves listening to them. So we tend to listen to them literally every morning. So as she goes to school, this girl doesn't go to school sad, because we've already programmed her mind with these songs, and she's been dancing and singing along before we go. So it's one of those things. How do you start your day? What's your daily routine?
Mm.
Are you doing things within your daily routine to help you? And if you're not, schedule them in. Schedule some things in your daily routine that break the cycle of the negative thinking, that break the cycle of anxiety. Schedule things within your day. Schedule things. Get the help. Get
You know,
the help you need.
I like that. But lots of people, the first thing is they read the morning papers. I think that's bad news.
There you go. There you go.
Or watch the news, bad news. Let's do some happy things like listening to a happy song.
Yeah.
Put the song on and dance and get ready to go to work. And your mood is already set for the day.
Do some affirmations. Do
Yes.
something. Do something that breaks the cycle.
Cycle, yeah.
Do something because your thoughts. So this is somewhere in psychology, right? The CBT cycle. So your thoughts affect your emotions,
Emotions.
which affect your actions or your results or your behaviors. So the anxious thinking is going to affect your actions. It's going to affect your behavior. It's going to affect how you are feeling. So deal with anxiety, break the cycle. Deal with anxiety. Don't just embrace it. Yes, anxiety, come to me. No, 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 no. Don't just embrace it. It is not for you. It will rob you of living the life that God has intended for you. It will take your joy and your happiness away if you allow anxiety to take root. So whatever you are anxious about, just sit with yourself, sit with your thoughts and find a way out. Navigate your way out. And I think we're going to finish on that note.
Well, talking about that, I don't know where I read it, but smiling breaks the mood of sadness that's brewing within you.
There you go.
Which is very strange. People might think that you're crazy, you're smiling by yourself, but you know what? Go to the mirror and smile. It's good for your facial expressions, keeps you young, and also builds up the adrenaline, dopamine
There you
within you.
go.
So it kind of it's this I decide marvels it I really marveled at the way our body is made up. We already have all the answers packed within us.
Mm.
So it's just to unpack little gestures, just shift our mood.
There you go. Absolutely. Absolutely. So thank you to everyone who has joined us today. We will be back again next week, Tuesday.
Yes,
Um, if
most
you
definitely.
if this has stirred up something for you and you want to get in touch with us, please feel free to do so. We are happy to talk with you and be a listening ear or even pray with you. So feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to send the link of this video to someone else as well and just be a blessing to them, especially someone that you know who's sort of dealing with a lot of anxiety in this season. But I think more importantly, help yourself, but also look out for your brothers and sisters who might be dealing with stuff.
That can't be the last word from you, Elizabeth. What's happening in the coming month?
So, in the coming month, for those of us who are in and around the UK, I was going to say in and around London, but hey, you can come to London for the weekend. So, for those of us who are in and around the UK, we have got the Kingdompreneurs Summit coming up. It's going to be on 17th of June, so not long left. If you haven't got your ticket, get your ticket today. Honestly, I am so excited. Last year was amazing. This year is going to be even more amazing. So I encourage you, get your ticket. The details for the event are on my page and they're also in front of your screen right now. So Kingdompreneur Summit 2023, it's going to be at the Holiday Inn, Kensington High Street. And it's going to be a full day of amazing stuff. And talking about like laughter and how laughter is good for you and stuff like that. My husband did a live session with one of the speakers, Matt Bird, and he did it last week. And honestly, I was so amused about how funny he was. he just kept on throwing these jokes, and he was like, "Are we allowed to laugh on the day? Because like I'm gonna bring it." So I'm looking forward to some laughter. So not just seriousness and learning and networking, but some laughter as well. So if you want to meet myself and Kirubai, hey, the Confidence Culture Duo, and you want to interact with some other Christians in business, then this event is for you. So make sure you do join us. Make sure you join us. It's going to be amazing. I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough.
You might meet your collaborative partner, like how I met Elizabeth
There you go.
1 year ago. So
Mm-hmm.
you never know what happens and what's going to what's in store for you when you come for this summit, because there's a lot of good
Absolutely.
things, yeah, coming by.
Absolutely. So I've shared the link. So make sure you do register. If you want more information, get in touch. We can provide the information for you. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Have a good day, a good night, a good evening. Some of you a good morning. But you know what? Nevertheless, thank you for joining us.
God bless you.
God bless you.